ready to rumble.
These are young men, Desmond Briscoe too, that are getting national level attention.
Yeah, this is a stronger class. I think back to the group when Purdue got that group with Hummel and Jamar Johnson and Martin, and they didn't have room for Matt Howard that year. Went to Butler and played for Brad, but this is an extremely strong group, inside out, good size, no dominant big post man necessarily like a Flory Badunga, but guys that are very transitional.
And again, we maybe talk a little bit more AAU ball in the summer than we would during the course of a regular season. Sisley, Mullins, Briscoe all play together on Indiana Elite, which is, again, perhaps this year the top AAU school team in the country. Malachi Moreno, who is from Kentucky, plays on that same team. fortunately or unfortunately, he's not playing today. He's got a pretty good doctor's note as to why. He's playing in Europe currently as part of an event with Adidas.
Yeah, and if you've not heard of this young man, he's 7'1". He plays high school at Great Crossing High School, averaged 16 a game, and is a well-versed, well-known AAU player who is a huge part. But, you know, to your point on Mullins real quick, I mean, 2 weeks ago I'm sitting at home and Fran McCaffrey calls me and says, I can't say what Fran said. Fran said, man, this Mullins kid, and they offered him early. Iowa offered him way before. He goes, he's getting better and better every game.
Let's talk about Braylon. Yeah. One of two Hancock County players in this game. Julius Gizzi of New Pal is the other, and they were amongst the top scorers in the state last year. But Braylon's father, Josh, played at IUPUI, was on the NCAA tournament team 22 years ago. Braylon's recruiting has just shot off like a rocket over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks. Offers from all the local schools, Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame, etc. Now, Kansas, Iowa, North Carolina, etc. You name it. We only saw him a couple of times this year on ISC. He had 50-plus in a game that our friends at 9-Star did, an overtime win where he hit the game winner against Pendleton Heights. We saw him go for 30 against Southport, that game that was played at the Forum Tip-Off Classic. Again, solid shooter, now standing at 6'6". What do you like most about his game?
That he's still evolving. He just keeps getting better and better. Had the unfortunate injury that he couldn't play in the state tournament series that kind of knocked everyone's wind out of their sail because they were looking forward to him. But he doesn't take a bad shot, and he doesn't miss very many shots. His shooting percentage is tremendous for someone who's a wing.
If it's not Mullins that's getting national attention, it's Trent Sisley. Obviously, his older brother, a tremendous player in Blake. His dad, Matt, played at Southeast Missouri. You see our officials, Billy Brooks, Tim Cody, and Derek Lynn, our 3 officials for today's contest. Trent Sisley, very talented player again. All the local schools, IU, Purdue, etc., are in on him. We get to see them because Heritage Hills kind of frequently heads north to play in Sneakers for Santa, where they played Evansville Christian. Right. You had that game this year. They also played at the Forum Tip-Off Classic. They will be a part of the Hall of Fame Classic on December the 28th. What do you like about Trent's game?
Well, I got to see him at CP3 camp in Greensboro, North Carolina when he was an incoming freshman. And he was tall then, but he was just kind of a tall kid. And his hops is tremendous. He plays with a lot of passion. He's very strong to his right. He can do a lot of things going to his right. And again, he hasn't filled out yet. You know, if you know his dad was thin like that, and now Matt's gotten pretty big. So, I mean, he's going to fill out, and when that happens, wow, the sky's the limit.
When you look at these junior games, and we reference this in the girls, again, there are fewer and fewer college commitments because it is tougher for the seniors to find a place to play because of the transfer portal. There's one committed athlete in this game. He committed for football last week. It is Mark Zachary, and again, he's part of that Indiana elite basketball team as well. He's a major college basketball player. We think he's an NFL-level football player as a corner. He made the announcement he's going to Notre Dame for football coming up a year from now.
Yeah, he's a leader of a program, even as a sophomore. Be the MVP of the Hall of Fame basketball tournament as a sophomore, being a 4 to 5 point scorer because he does so many things that help the team. And but obviously he's a big-time football player. You've done so many of his games in football on TV. Now,
we don't have a chance to see many of these Kentucky young men. There is one exception that we have seen, and that is Julius Edmonds that played at Trinity High School. They came up and played in North Central's holiday tournament that we were a part of on the ISC Sports Network. We saw them play against both North Central, and North Central won that game against the Shamrocks on December the 29th. And then they also beat Carmel the next day. So Edmonds, one of 3 Louisville area players, Chance Dillingham and Justice Decker representing Trinity, St. X, and Manual respectively. Again, their top talent, Moreno, not playing in this. It's still a talented Kentucky squad we'll see today.
It is. There's Edwards right there. And like you said, we saw him play. Kentucky, it seems like the last few years, they've had really good classes coming after kind of a drought. This series, all-time series against the Kentucky juniors, Indiana only leads at 7-5. And we did a game, 2 years ago at Bedford where their juniors just kicked our juniors' butts. So was that last year or this year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, at Bedford. I thought it was.
You had it right.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Yeah.
So we'll give you the lineup. Again, we've mentioned several of them. And again, Indiana will play 11 in this game. No Xavier Robinson from Lawrence North. Brady Kaler from Indianapolis Cathedral. We're talking about a young man that's got a football future. Say the same about John Anthony Hall. He and Keenan Gardner were fantastic at delivering Fishers. On the same year they won their first boys basketball sectional, they won the whole tournament, won the state tournament as well. Again, John Anthony kind of has a decision a year from now to make. Is it football or basketball? He's getting major college offers in both.
I had the pleasure of announcing him on the podium yesterday at the state track and field final. He lunged up 23 feet 1 inch to get second. And he's just a wonderful athlete. He can play any sport he wants.
So yes, let's note, I'm not sure what his travel plans were. He could have gone from Bloomington to Scottsburg and not went home, going from the state track meet yesterday at IU to play here a basketball all-star game today.
I guarantee you that's what he did, and that's what I was going to do, but you may want to mention where we're broadcasting this game from.
So we are remote today. We are not inside of the pressure cooker at the Charles Meyer Gymnasium. We're doing this one from our ISC Sports Network studios. We'll be courtside tomorrow night at Hamilton Southeastern, same at Kokomo, and same at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. And again, other players being introduced. I want to make sure we reference the two kind of local products in this game. Michael Cooper as well as Trey Singleton, both from Jeffersonville. And what a run Sharon Wilkerson's team had. They were oh so close to beating Ben Davis and playing in the state championship game for the first time in 31 years.
They were real close. We saw him earlier in the year on ISC, and I like what he's doing. He's really coaching them up.
And they're going to be one of the better teams in the state next year with the Red Devils.
It makes them be accountable. They play defense, boy.
So Kaler will jump at center for Indiana. The honors for Kentucky goes to Jordan Mabe of South Laurel High School. Again, this is not an overly big Kentucky team without Moreno anchoring down the middle. Indiana may have an advantage on that front. Tip, Briscoe, Mullins, hello. Again, Mullins, Briscoe, and Sisley have all been playing together for the last several weeks. Zachary in that bunch as well. So this is just a different uniform, another weekend together for several of these guys. And it is a very big starting five for Indiana. And the one guy south of 6'6", Zachary, we think, is an NFL cornerback a few years down the road in terms of coverage.
He just forced the turnover right there. I mean, he got back cut. He goes, no problem. Did a reverse pivot, had that arm out.
ISO for Mullins. It's been that kind of spring for Braylon Mullins.
If I could only tell you what Coach McCaffrey said on the phone about him.
Said he was really good.
Yeah.
That's the translation.
Yeah, with a lot of
adjectives added to that. 5-0
that I didn't
score.
learn in high school.
You've heard him before.
Yeah. What a start he's off to. My gosh.
The pull for the baseline does not go, and Mark Zachary, the rebound again. He will lead the break. Two-sport star at Ben Davis. Mullins takes the bump, collects. Sisley, high arcing three is good. Trent Sisley, pride of Heritage Hills High School.
He looks weird. He's not wearing 44. Ever since I've seen him as a freshman, he's always wearing number 44, and whatever team he plays with, he's wearing 33 today in the All-Star uniform.
Brother was an Indiana All-Star 3 years ago. 4-year separation between the two. Three for Kentucky does not go, and the rebound corralled by Sisley. Zachary will be a distributor for this bunch, trying to find Sisley. Puts a little too much on it.
Well, he had both the back cutter. I couldn't see who that was back cutting. It was probably Kaler cutting. But he had two cutters cutting, and neither one were ready for it.
For those of you watching, say, from outside of the state of Indiana on Mark Zachary, he goes to Ben Davis High School, which is the second largest school in the state. He played significant minutes in football and basketball as a freshman. That kind of catches your attention. Three for Kentucky does not go. And Kaler will track it down, plays for Cathedral High School. Mullins three, no. He was starting to turn the other way, thinking that was down.
That truly was a heat check this early in the game. I know it's only his third shot, or I don't know if you count the last one that got blocked at the shot, but he was running back down the other end defensively after he shot it.
Well, he's had that good of a year.
Oh, that's good of the summer, absolutely.
Kaler finds Zachary. Extra pass, Desmond Briscoe. Crispus Attucks High School. And a timeout going to be taken by Kentucky immediately. And again, with this group on the floor, I'm not sure what you're going to do because, again, this is a special Indiana group.
And DJ Sherrill, you can see from Bowling Green High School, talking to his guys right now about, I can't tell by his hand motions, but he's saying something like, my gosh, we got to get going.
Let's thank our friends at the Milan 54 Museum for a second consecutive year supporting our broadcast on the ISC Sports Network. If it's Milan Muncie Central artifacts, it's there. If it's the movie Hoosiers, it's there. Where's there? 201 West Carr Street in Milan, open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 until 4. More information, milan54.org. Worth the drive to Southeast Indiana.
Something you may have noticed in that huddle, only 9 Kentucky guys dressed. That may play a key if they can get back in the game. Right now, they've got to get a shot up and make a shot to get in the game a little bit here, but they only have 9 players in uniform today.
Again, the back half of the Indiana roster, very solid, but not as, again, nationally regarded as most of the 5 you see on the floor for Team Indiana right now. The drive and the bucket is there, and a foul as well. Contact made.
Just a touch by Kaler, I think, Greg.
And so the basket is good. Tim Cody with the foul call. Jordan Mabe gets the first bucket of the game for Team Kentucky.
Just hit him across the head just a little bit. That knocked him off balance. It was a basketball play. Mabe's going to get up and be okay, but right now he's hurting a little bit.
South Laurel High School. Jordan averaged 16 points per contest. Ty Price, of those listed as available today for Kentucky, the best scorer out of Butler County at 29 points a game. They're going to go ahead and bring Aaron Gutman in from Walton, Verona. And again, that is kind of the south end of the Cincinnati suburbs in northern Kentucky where he plays.
Yeah, nice-sized team. I mean, here he's the first guy off the bench at 6'7".
Averages 21 points a game, did for his junior season in the state of Kentucky. So the rare and one, where the and one goes to somebody else.
Yeah.
Obviously, an all-star game, you'll do that. Zachary now tried to float it to Kaler, and Kaler had veered out to the wing instead. Briscoe. And a couple of key losses off that Addicts team from last year, but really kind of 3 key pieces back for Coach Hawkins' team. Chris Hurt will be the starting point guard next year. Eric Jackson at the 4, opposite Briscoe. Drive, and Kaler swats it home.
Pretty good defensive possession. I could hear Coach Tom Wells, one of the assistants, yelling at him to make sure they're playing defense and talking, and they did a pretty good job there. They didn't talk a lot, but they did towards the end of that possession.
Tom Wells of Michigan City, the assistant coach. Matt Luce, the head coach, of course, from Wapahani. Played Brownstown Central in the 2A championship game at the end of March. We'll see 5 of these 6 back for Indiana on Wednesday night. On the drive, Kaler again, his second block. Zachary throws it off the window. Mullins could not track it down.
Thought he got pushed a little bit from behind.
Kaler waiting again, and that time to avoid the block shot. You saw kind of the arithmetic being done in the mind of Vince Dawson. Didn't get the steps right trying to avoid that block. Vince plays at Great Crossing High School. He and Malachi Moreno, teammates in high school. It's averaging 18 points a game.
You notice the floor got pretty slick, too, during the girls' contest earlier today. You mentioned Tom Wells. You just saw him. He's a gentleman in the red shirt. Tommy's retiring from coaching basketball. 35 years. Been kind of a staple in the region. He coached at Griffith, Portage, LaPorte, and finished his career at Michigan City. And Angola native, and had a wonderful career. Won over 400 games in 35 years. Going to his lake house now more, he said, and going to enjoy life a little bit. Not saying he didn't enjoy as a coach, don't get me wrong, but with his wife now.
Briscoe turn, no. That's a shot that Briscoe can make. Really good from 15 feet and in.
And fading away a little bit.
Yep.
He does shoot that fade away a lot if you have not seen Desmond Briscoe play, and it's usually pretty good. His freshman year not as good. Now has it mastered.
And he's got numerous major college offers, does Des. On the runner. Shot goes. Bucket by Gutman.
Well, they scored 5. They're on a 5-0 run since the timeout called by Coach Sherrill.
Isolation for Sisley. Just 5 out offense and letting guys go to work. Kaler 3, no.
Edwards, I mean.
Runs the floor. Kaler again, his 3rd block, but gets his 2nd foul, and Edmonds will get an and one.
And Indiana started out like gangbusters, but now they're Only going to lead by 3 right now and maybe 2.
So Kaler picks up his second foul.
That's a great block.
Correct.
But then there, he left his feet too early. Edwards did a nice job getting him off his feet.
And this will be upcoming at Cathedral, his 3rd varsity season. But there was so much talent his sophomore year and so many seniors, he didn't get a chance to play that much, at least in kind of the more competitive games. Cathedral won the state championship what would be his freshman year at Cathedral. He was not a part of that group that had multiple Division I starters. Edmonds connects. So 8 straight points for Kentucky.
High post screen. Nope. There's the screen for Mullins.
Not that time for Mullins. Decker in there for Kentucky. So a chance for Kentucky to tie or take the lead. Indiana's got a little stagnant offense, but how do you fix it? Mark Zachary. Hello.
That's a 5'11" slam dunk there by Zachary. Just tremendous quick hops. Not a great, I'm not saying he's got a 40-inch vertical, but he gets off the floor so fast, and he recovers like they're defensively so fast. You can't backdoor him. He'll always find a way to knock it away or steal it if you try to backdoor him.
And there have been several Indiana All-Stars over the years that went on to play college football, or frankly, even in the National Football League. Darius Latham comes to mind. Played football at Indiana University, spent some time with the Raiders. Juwan Jones, of course, now playing for the Cleveland Browns. Here comes the first wave of substitutions for Indiana. So John Anthony Hall, Trey Singleton, Cedric Horton from Richmond. They had a really good season this year. And Michael Cooper of Jeffersonville. So the 2 Jeff Red Devils on the floor together.
Not a lot of size, Singleton being the tallest player at 6'8".
Shot does not go. Gizzy fires a 3, and that's good.
Now, we'll talk about him. I've known Julius Gizzy since he was probably a 5th grader, and his evolution into being a basketball player, you knew it was going to happen sometime if he wanted to. Well, he made it happen. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I've never seen Julius's hair this long, by the way. I almost didn't recognize it as Cooper lays it up. And his hair's not long. It's longer than it normally is.
Well, he got it. Yeah, it's longer than it had been.
Spot up 3 is good. That's Maddox Huff from Harlan County. Got it to go for Kentucky. So 4-point lead for Indiana.
No, we mentioned this, but I'm seeing John Anthony Hall out here playing. I mean, the guy was in Bloomington and Gleckstein Fieldhouse all day yesterday in the state long jump championship. So you wonder how he's ready to go today. He's probably biting at the bit to play another sport because his track season ended with a state runner-up medal.
But yes, a truly 3-sport athlete, something that's very, and again, Fisher is such a large high school as Horton misses. Only Shane Sims has yet to play for Indiana. That 3 is good.
Better go down if I was coaching him.
On the drive, Gizzy draws contact. That 3 was made by Huff, his second made 3. Underneath out of bounds for Team Indiana. So Dillingham whistled for the foul. Dillingham plays at St. X. I'm not sure there is a rivalry in Indiana like Trinity and St. X is in Louisville in every sport. Players stumbled.
A little sloppy out here the last 2 or 3 minutes.
3 is good, and that is Dillingham. Kentucky has tied the game at 17.
After a 10-0 start by Indiana.
Player slips again, and that's John Anthony Hall,
Yep, that's a travel. It's unfortunate because he wasn't going to travel if he didn't slip, and he wasn't making that aggressive move, but there's Dillingham's shot over Singleton.
And we've had a little slickness on the floor that you've noted a couple of different times. You see the fans running at both ends. I mean, it's not, frankly, an overly hot or humid day here in Scottsburg either. You got the good end of the weather draw.
Threw it off his back.
You only do that underneath your own basket, not the other team's. Shot was altered. Now Indiana has a 5-on-4 advantage if they can push the tempo. Gizzy behind the back. Cooper couldn't finish off the tremendous opportunity for an assist. Gizzy 29 points a game last year at New Pal. Had a chance to see him play against Lawrence North and was a near win for the Dragons. Tip, first time, no. Ball finds Singleton, and Singleton scores it.
Well, what a tip by John Anthony Hall to keep that ball alive. I think he almost was hesitant to tip it because he was above the rim and thought it was going to be offensive goaltending, maybe.
Quick hands by Cooper. He and Singleton high school teammates. We first saw Jeff this year playing in the Phil Cox tournament in Kokomo and was very impressed by the Red Devils that holiday weekend. They hung with Kokomo, gave Kokomo everything they could in the championship game. Foul going to be called against Cedric Horton. Richmond went into January unbeaten this year. I think New Pal is the team that gave them their first loss of the season.
Yeah, Billy Wright's done a great job resurrecting the Red Devil program. Former head coach at Western Illinois. Indiana All-Star when he played at Richmond. Great player.
Eli Finley out there for the first time for Kentucky. Drive, shot blocked. That's Singleton.
They are letting him play, I'll tell you. There's been some contact at both ends. They're letting these guys play.
Hall has his pocket picked. And for 5 of these players, this is the first of 2 games they will play this week, as that 3 does not go. For the young men on the floor, this is really their kind of one chance.
Everyone's on the floor right now for Indiana.
Yep.
Yeah, they will not play Wednesday.
Singleton, and I'm a big fan of his game.
You are. Yeah, I think he knows that. You seem to bring out the best in him, Greg.
Well, again, he's a very high IQ basketball player. And he's got a lot of skill sets at 6'8" that translate to college basketball. Kind of a pick and pop kid. Screen, rebound, get you extra possessions, knock down the jump shot. There's his running mate from Jeff and Michael Cooper that gets his second bucket. So 6 in a row now for Indiana. Their lead grows to half a dozen.
Everyone's played but Shane Sims for Indiana so far.
We saw Shane and Evansville Harrison. They played in North Central's event this past year. Both Harrison and Wrights made the trip up I-69 to play 2 games at North Central.
Really good team. Really good team.
That was early in the year Carmel's best win. That changed as the season went along. That kind of got Carmel's season headed in the right direction. The head fake, scoop, and score. The layup good for Xander Carter. Ashland Paul Blazer High School represented both the girls and boys games today. Cooper, the hesitation and finger roll. Great crash by Horton. Just couldn't finish.
Oh boy, too high. Oh, nice catch.
I think athleticism in this game. Horton, good look ahead pass by Gizzy. Horton. Cedric Horton, the bucket. He is one of 8 Indiana players that have scored of the 11 we'll see today. Off the window, no. Put back, yes. Julius Edmonds.
Edmonds has a way of being around the ball, Greg. I just noticed that when we did one of his games last year on ISC.
Cooper and Singleton work together all the time. Singleton, yes. I think he's a better mid-range shooter than three-point shooter, but he can knock that down, and if he's been working on that part of his game, good for him. Well, he was part of a workout yesterday at IU Indianapolis with Singleton as Carter got that to go. 30-second timeout taken by Indiana. Show you Horton at the other end with the throwdown. And Indiana will bring in Sims and 4 of their starters when we resume action. This portion of this game brought to us by the Indy 11. It's the best time of year to see the Indy 11 in action, whether it's the men at Carroll Stadium or the women at Grand Park. The women next play on Friday night against Racing Louisville's Academy team. The men are back home to battle San Antonio June 15th. Get your tickets now at indy11.com/tickets. Women's team beat Lexington 4-0 this afternoon. The defending W League champs are the Indy 11 women. That's a league that now has more than 80 teams across the country to play in it. Here's Sims. 15 points a game for Harrison last season. Harrison beaten by Jeff in the regional. Played at Huntingburg this year. Kaler misses. So Kaler, Briscoe, Sims, Mullins, Sisley. Deep three, good. Huff his third three. Sims for three, got it.
Good look, yep, right off the bench.
How about the fact that 5 players off the bench now have made a basket for Indiana?
Yeah, they've shared the ball pretty well so far.
Foul on Sims. Free throws for Xander Carter coming up.
As you mentioned, from Paul Blazer High School, is it Paul Blazer?
It is Paul Blazer.
Yeah, for boys basketball fans, one of my idols, Paul Patterson, the former great Taylor University head coach, won a state championship in high school there as a coach before he came to coach at Taylor. So I always think of him. Rest in peace, Coach.
So Carter with 5. Make it 6. Again, he and Huff off the bench have been fantastic for Kentucky. Sisley, not that time, but Briscoe will lay it up and in. Briscoe averaged a double-double this year for Crispus Attucks. He's got 4. Attucks, the city champs this past year.
Yep, got to play through the contact. They're calling it like a college game, Greg. Just got to play through the contact. If he softly get hit in high school, that may be a foul, but not today.
But frankly, that's going to benefit these guys who are playing college basketball a year from now.
You're right, absolutely.
Mullins gets downhill, left hand. A baseball team that will play for a regional championship tonight down in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yep, his dad is superintendent of schools there, Dan Sherry. Yeah, has some really good athletes to go with him.
Here's Decker. Makes 2 out of 3. Decker from Manual High School in Louisville. Sims, his second made field goal.
He will have it. He averaged 15 last year, but he was on a pretty well-balanced team. He'll score more this year.
That was Harrison's best team in a while on the east side of Evansville. Kaler may end up with double-digit blocks by the time this game is over with. He also could be in foul trouble.
Harrison didn't have a Duncan for a while. That's part of the reason.
True.
Those Duncan boys that ran through, boy, they won a lot of games there for Harrison. There you see the foul. They called that on Kaler? If it should, it's his third, I think, isn't it? No, that board doesn't show it, though, does it? Okay. I thought he picked up 2 early ones.
So Mabe will shoot 2.
Gave it to Briscoe. That's his second.
Keeping track of fouls is something that is done very loosely in these All-Star games.
I mean, to your point, I think they're even trying to determine who they called the foul on, what number it was.
Billy Brooks, Tim Cody, Derek Lynn, our 3-man officiating crew for today's game.
Yep, I think the officials tell him that. He's telling Desmond, you got the foul on you. The call was fouled on you. You got the foul called on you. That was it.
And this one is good. Quick substitution here for Kentucky. Well, credit Kentucky. They kind of weathered that early blitz by Indiana. They've hung around since that time.
They've made 7 out of 8 free throws. That's kept them in the hunt here in this first half. Double screen flare for Kaler. Yep, nice play.
Kaler for 3, yep.
Nice play.
That's like a layup for that young man.
Great execution.
Kaler, 15.5 points. Again, it was an entirely new starting 5 for the Irish, Coach Delaney this season. Block, that time by Sims. But it's also a Cathedral team that brings back pretty much their starting five. Had a couple of seniors that came off the bench for that group.
Oh, that goes on. Desmond Briscoe did a nice job setting that up to get Kaler open. Doesn't get anything on the stat sheet for it, but coach's appreciation of it.
Iowa and Cincinnati amongst those that are interested in his services. Pocket pass that finds Mullins. Mullins a dozen.
Works out to run the floor, and that's what Braylon did that time. Got rewarded with a loose ball running the floor.
Lead up to its largest of a dozen now for Indiana. We're 15 minutes in. There's 47 points on the board for Indiana. The girls put up 111 in 40 minutes.
They shot 42 of 80 from the field.
And Mabe gets the bucket. And a timeout going to be called by Indiana. Tonight's game presented in part by Scott Nichols of State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor. State Farm and Scott Nichols are there, and there is right next to Ben Davis High School on 10th Street, just east of Girls School Road. Contact Scott Needham at the number you see on your screen, and Scott wants to congratulate that young man wearing number 5 on your screen, Mark Zachary, representing the West Side this week in the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Series.
Had a chance to look at that huddle. You saw head coach Matt Luce, head coach at Wapahani. 309 and 97 in his career. That's 309 wins with only 97 losses after 22 years as a head coach. Had arguably his most memorable season this year, being the state runners-up in the 2A on that March 30th at Gainbridge, and just does a wonderful job. Started out at Benton Central. Here he is now at Wapahani, his alma mater, and just has an outstanding program. And don't take this wrong, not a lot of great players. Good, solid high school basketball players.
Got it going this year. Isaac Andrews on that bunch, but your point is well made. Tough shot buried by Gizzy, but again, that's not a tough shot for Julius. And again, the story for those, again, maybe watching outside of Indiana, mom and dad played at Drexel or LaSalle.
No, LaSalle.
LaSalle. I got my Philly school wrong. Apologies. But then both older brother and sister play in the Crossroads League. Max played at Marion. Sister Izzy plays at St. Francis. Good D up that time by John Anthony Hall.
Mom was an Indiana All-Star.
Yep.
And Sarah, her maiden name was Haynes. Grandpa Haynes, Bruce Haynes, an outstanding high school coach in his own right at both Frontier and at New Palestine. And then his dad, Mike Gizzy, played professionally over 10 years, and he was overseas. That's where the name Julius came from. He named all 3 kids in Italy because of their location and where he played basketball. So Maximus, Julius, Isabella. And wonderful family, know him real well. But I said I was going to say something earlier. He was someone that really didn't work the game as he's getting ready to shoot 2 free throws. Didn't work on his body. Didn't really – he was just I hate to say just a little pudgy guy that followed his older brother, who's a really good player as a freshman, Maximus. And then 2 years ago he made a commitment. I'm not just going to be a slug. Started to get a growth spurt, lost some weight, practices all the time, and boy, did it pay off this year and getting the nod to be on the Junior All-Stars. And I think he's going to have I think he's going to lead state in scoring next year.
He went from 8 or 9 points a game to 30 a night for New Pal this past season.
And it was all about making the commitment that I want to do this. I'm going to put everything into it instead of just, Everyone likes him, lovable guy. But, he eats right now. I was talking to his mom a couple weeks ago. He eats right all the time now. I talked to him at a game this year at Marion and told him how proud he was. And did he knock both those free throws down?
He did.
Okay, I'll stop talking about him now.
7 points for Julius. And he and Braylon Mullins both representing Hancock County in this game.
Ooh, it's you can tell I'm in gyms where I don't have athletes like that save those type of passes. Edwards.
Well, a smaller Indiana lineup on the floor right now. And Kentucky takes advantage, but Mabe can't finish. Cooper, Horton, Gizzy.
Well, they're not running anything right now. This is kind of scary.
Horton on the drive, nothing there.
I didn't see anything coming just because no one was going to get a chance to get a rebound. They're standing around watching them dribble.
Gizzy going to be called for the foul. He's lobbying. In fact, I got some ball there. Officials thought otherwise. 2 free throws coming up.
Here's the replay. Well, something drug that left arm back too, besides getting the ball first. He did probably get all ball until he also caught a little bit of arm there.
Reference Julius Gizzi. His New Pal team did win the sectional out there this year. So their season ending against Ben Davis in the regional round at Southport Fieldhouse. Had the pleasure of calling that game back on March 9th.
Well, he had just got his hair cut, so that's why when you're talking about his hair, he did have long hair at the start of the year.
Zachary a miss.
Boy, that first step Zachary takes to cut off the ball is as good as I've seen in a long time defensively for a high school kid, which is why he's going to be an outstanding football player. His lateral movement is just tremendous.
Lost the handle. Zachary tips it away and slides it forward to Hall from one football star to another. John Anthony Hall lays it up and in, and now he has scored, and frankly, every player has scored for Team Indiana. Then a steal and a bucket by Michael Cooper, and a timeout coming by Kentucky, because all of a sudden now it's an 18-point lead for Indiana. Let's thank our friends at the Ed Martin Automotive Group. They want to congratulate John Anthony Hall for representing Fishers High School in today's Indiana-Kentucky Junior All-Star Game. When it comes to your next car, Ed Martin's the only name you need to know. Find out more at edmartin.com.
Coach DJ Sherrill, Bowling Green, in that huddle, he called a timeout. He got down 10-0, and his team battled back. And let's see if this timeout can get him back in it. This is his second timeout he's called. Again, only 9 players for the Kentucky squad. They had 11 listed as being here. They knew that Malachi wasn't going to be here. Isaiah Cochran wasn't eligible or wasn't available. Austin Sperry wasn't available. He averaged 23 a game. E.J. Walker from Lloyd Memorial wasn't available. He's a 6'8", another big forward, but the 9 playing here need to pick it up a little bit. Just a turnover after a timeout drives you crazy.
Zachary leaves it for John Anthony Hall. And the lead up to 20 for Indiana. That time Gizzi does get credit for the clean block. And at the other end, Cooper will lay it up and in.
But the athleticism just starting to really show for Indiana.
Let me point out that Indiana has 59 points in 18 minutes. That's going to be a foul on Gizzi.
Yeah.
And a basket for Xander Carter.
Going to be Julius' second foul.
And a reminder of our schedule for the week. Tomorrow night, the Futures game, the freshmen and sophomores in Indiana. It'll be North versus South. That game was started last year and was played at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. This year is going to be a separate site game. So Pete and I and our ISC Sports Network crew will go to Hamilton Southeastern High School. But on Wednesday night, Rob Moorhead joins me up at Memorial Gymnasium in Kokomo. Indiana juniors, including some of the players you'll see in this game, will take on the Indiana seniors. But on Saturday night, we'll be at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, a place that Mark Zachary knows well because he's finished his year there each of the last 2 seasons. And again, now that the debate for Zachary, now that he has picked where he's going to play his football at Notre Dame, and you know people involved here well, is he playing basketball at Notre Dame, you think, as well, Pete?
I think he may get that opportunity. It depends what the coaches agree on.
Gizzi for 3. Well, a couple of points that I don't know the Notre Dame football staff the way I know the basketball staff.
Right.
But I do think it's interesting at the other end as Horton gets a layup that the entire, not saying entire, but a good chunk of the coaching staff came to watch Mark play basketball in January at Ben Davis. But obviously the staff from a basketball standpoint is a very locally invested staff because of Micah Shrewsbury being a Cathedral Fighting Irish player, obviously Ryan Owens, Ryan Snow, etc. So I would think, and I'll cite the example too, Drake Bowen, outstanding football and baseball player at Andrean, has played both. And his baseball days kind of might be winding down for the Irish at this point, but they do have a couple of current examples of that now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Buckner kid that's a quarterback for them is also a lacrosse player at Notre Dame these days.
I'd like to see that revert back personally. I like multi-sport athletes, even at the college level. gives them a nice break away from maybe their better sport a little bit, though a lot of these guys are so good in so many sports, and we're seeing one right there underneath the basket, number 10, John Anthony Hall, and then, as you mentioned, Zachary.
Well, there's another guy that we need to mention that isn't going to play in today's game, but he's involved. That's the head coach, Matt Luce. Wasn't a college basketball player.
Right.
College baseball player at Purdue was Coach Luce. Teammates with our good friend Chris Walker from the ISC Sports Network staff. Yeah, that was a tough landing at the other end.
Yeah, trying to block the shot.
Then a missed dunk, and technical. You can't hang and do that.
What they're going to call on it?
Just basket interference.
Basket interference, okay.
Yeah.
Remember, there used to be technical for hanging on the rim, and then, well, we got to let him come down. As you see, he grabs the rim.
Yeah, can't do that. Yeah.
Tried to dunk it with both hands, missed on the right, missed on the left, slapped the board.
As they would say in Monty Python, that is right out. So it will be a technical foul. So Gizzy will shoot a free throw or two.
Oh, good. So they did call it a technical. Yeah. I thought they were just going to wave it off and say offensive or basket interference. Offensive goaltending.
So 2 shots.
Got awful quiet in here.
So Gizzy with 11. Mullins 12, Gizzy 11. And those 2 guys leading the scoring charts. Expect more of that from late November through late March in the state of Indiana.
You don't see that happen too much.
And I would also say this, those 2 schools play each other in early December. Get that on your calendar, because that's going to be fun. That's going to be full. That is normally the first Friday or the second Friday in December when those 2 teams play each other. We'll have to see if we can work that on the ISC calendar this year. Zachary, got it.
Beautiful move there by Mark. Zachary, the 4th.
This is starting to be a Pacers-like halftime score. Indiana's got 69 with a few seconds to go in the half. Another deep 3. That is good again. And how about Huff? He's got 14.
Boy, he can shoot it.
Cooper from half court. But the only thing that did not go in for Indiana in half number 1. So our score at the break, it is all Indiana in this one, which to some degree is expected. 69-45. The Hoosier State leads the break. It's the Indiana-Kentucky Junior All-Star Game, and you're watching on ISC.
At Forum Credit Union, we make it easy to focus on what matters most, removing unneeded stress and worry. From making secure mobile payments to earning cash back on everyday purchases, we've got you covered. See more at forumcu.com.
Don't miss any of the action. Support the boys in blue. There's fun for groups or the whole family. Tickets available at Indy11.com. Indy 11, world's game, Indiana's team.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
More selection, more savings, more for your trade. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know for all your transportation needs. 9 locations, serving Indianapolis, Fishers, Anderson, and Noblesville. 12 brands offering the best cars, trucks, and SUVs. At Ed Martin, you'll drive home happy in under an hour, guaranteed. Shop over 4,000 new and used vehicles at edmartin.com. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know.
At Forum Credit Union, we know it's not always easy to manage your finances. That's why we post quick tip videos and infographics every month to help you with all of life's big and small financial decisions. Follow us today and access free resources at forumcu.com.
Dino Night with Indy 11.
of the action. Support the boys in blue. There's fun for groups or the whole family. Tickets available at Indy11.com. Indy 11, world's game, Indiana's team. Back inside of the Charles Meyer Gymnasium here in Scottsburg. Greg Rakestraw, Pete Smith with you on the ISC Sports Network. Indiana jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Kentucky came back, but slowly but surely Indiana pulled away again. They lead by 24 at halftime after the girls won by 35 earlier today. That's not a knock on Kentucky. We think that's how good both of these junior classes are in the state of Indiana. Today's game presented in part by Lee Company. Congratulations to all young men and women this week from Northwest Indiana who represent their schools in the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Game. Lee Company is Indiana's largest school equipment supplier. From bleachers to lockers, chairs to cafe tables, basketball goals to wall pads, Lee Company is your source. Call Sean Doherty for all your school needs in Northwest Indiana at 765-586-9706. To me, Pete, the thing that was as impressive as anything else is that it wasn't just kind of that super starting five. It wasn't just the guys that have national recruiting acclaim. It was all 11 players that played well for Indiana.
It was the last guy that got in, Michael Cooper. Or I'm sorry, not Michael Cooper. Shane Sims hit a pair of threes. They all got touches. They shared the ball well. They touched, all 11 scored. Yeah, excellent first half by Indiana.
12 for Braylon Mullins, 11 for Julius Gizzi. Again, 8 for Michael Cooper off the bench, 7 for Trey Singleton, 6 for Mark Zachary. You see some of the highlights roll by. Braylon Mullins had it going early. He had 5 points. He had a dunk and a 3 in the first 30 seconds. Indiana jumped out to a 10-point lead. Sisley, a 3 and a dunk. Desmond Briscoe with a basket here. He would finish with 4. Again, let's point out, Mullins, Briscoe, and Sisley and Zachary have all played together all spring long. These guys are used to finding each other on the floor.
Yeah, their camaraderie is very good. They sense where people are going to be because of that. And that's a really nice thing when you put them together on an all-star team.
On the flip side for Kentucky, Maddox Huff with 14 led the way off the bench. He made 4 threes. Jordan Mabe had 6. Xander Carter would chip in with 8 points as well. As you have pointed out, just 9 players in uniform that we have seen today. 8 of them have scored so far for Kentucky.
Yeah, I think they're a little outmanned from size-wise. They've got good size, but they're not quite as athletic as our 6'7", 6'8" guys are.
Well, we mentioned the highest-rated recruit of this bunch from Kentucky is Malachi Moreno. He actually plays with that Indiana Elite AAU team. He has an overseas event with Adidas. It's the reason why he is not here, so kind of missed an opportunity to see him go against a lot of his teammates. So it's a great problem to have if you're Matt Luce. I'm not sure what the halftime speech is when you're up 24. What do you want to see from these Indiana juniors being in half number 2?
Don't get sloppy and turn the ball over. They've only committed 5 turnovers in the game. 3 of them were rather early in the contest. They're shooting the ball very well, 29-48. Keep taking good shots. Get back on defense and don't let Kentucky get any cheap baskets. You're going to see a lot of these Kentucky shots, and they shot. Kentucky was 6 of 13 from three-point line, but they were contested shots. I mean, Indiana was there on the catch, and Indiana was very frugal of picking up loose balls and taking advantage of it. You saw Dez do that right there.
Mullins the basket there again. His dozen leads the way for Team Indiana. The Hoosier State leads at 69-45. Second half action comes your way next as you're watching the Indiana-Kentucky Junior All-Star Game here on the ISC Sports Network.
More selection, more savings, more for your trade. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know for all your transportation needs. 9 locations, serving Indianapolis, Fishers, Anderson, and Noblesville. 12 brands offering the best cars, trucks, and SUVs. At Ed Martin, you'll drive home happy in under an hour, guaranteed. Shop over 4,000 new and used vehicles at edmartin.com. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know.
At Forum Credit Union, we make it easy to focus on what matters most, removing unneeded stress and worry. From making secure mobile payments to earning cash back on everyday purchases, we've got you covered. See more at forumcu.com.
of the action. Support the boys in blue. There's fun for groups or the whole family. Tickets available at Indy11.com. Indy 11, world's game, Indiana's team.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
At Forum Credit Union, we know it's not always easy to manage your finances. That's why we post quick tip videos and infographics every month to help you with all of life's big and small financial decisions. Follow us today and access free resources at forumcu.com.
More selection, more savings, more for your trade. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know for all your transportation needs. 9 locations, serving Indianapolis, Fishers, Anderson, and Noblesville. 12 brands offering the best cars, trucks, and SUVs. At Ed Martin, you'll drive home happy in under an hour, guaranteed. Shop over 4,000 new and used vehicles at edmartin.com. Ed Martin, the only name you need to know.
I want to take this moment to thank our tremendous ISC Sports Network crew. Thank you to Sean Walker, Casey Walker, Elijah Mash. We've had Elijah on a road trip this weekend. Southern Indiana FC soccer, which ended up getting postponed last night. But Elijah was in Southern Indiana for that and then stayed to handle the action in Scottsburg tonight. I want to thank him for his hard work alongside Pete Smith. My name is Greg Straw. This is one of 4 different events we have going on the ISC Sports Network family today. In the 11 women beat Lexington 4-0. We produce every Indianapolis Indians home game. They're back at home for action Tuesday through Sunday this week. But we did something this morning, and I hope you go to iscsportsnetwork.com and check it out, or our YouTube page, Twitter, whatever the case may be. We do this every year, one weekend here. It's called Beat Ball. It is baseball for the blind and visually impaired. Thanks to Andy Elkins and the folks at North Central for having us out. But what those athletes accomplish without any vision whatsoever is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen the broadcast that you guys do, which is tremendous in itself, and just to realize how, that's just really cool. It's touching.
The Gateway Archers, winners over the Philadelphia Fire in the championship game, 19-4. Darnell Booker's Indy Thunder finished 3rd for those of you keeping track at home. So Kentucky has the ball, trailing by 24. Indiana girls won by 35. Boys trying to potentially top that. And you see a bit of a mix in the lineups here. Kaler, Mullins, Briscoe, Singleton, Sims.
Singleton very efficient the first half. We didn't call his name out at halftime talking about anything great he did. He was just solid as a rock. Everything he did was good.
I kind of think he's a low to mid-major level Division I player. He's going to be a real good one. So gets out of Jeffersonville High School. Briscoe with the
little bit of contact.
Clean block, as it was called by our officiating crew.
Oh, and a turnover right away.
But then he got tangled up on the low block with Vince Dawson.
Goes around, comes around there. So no blood on the fouls at either end, and let's see if we can get some good basketball going here as we start the second half.
I mentioned the fact that Dez's team at Addicts won the city championship. They were the Hall of Fame Classic champions as well this past year.
Yeah, mid-season, I thought they may have won a mid-season state tournament. They were playing really well when they went to the Hall of Fame.
Backdoor cut, Kaler slams it home. Kaler's got 5. First basket of the half belongs to Indiana. Trailer 3 is good. After Carter.
So you asked me what Coach Luce is probably saying. Find your guy and find the shooters, because they are now from behind the arc pretty darn good. They are now 7-14 from 7-15. They're 1-2 this half.
Singleton looking to go to work from the elbow. No. If you're a fan of old school motion offense, watch what Jeffersonville does. It's a lot of what Sharon played in his days at Indiana University. They stumble in the lane, and Briscoe the steal.
You ever shook hands with Des Briscoe? Huge hands. They are big. That time you could tell just the way he played with the basketball, but he's got huge hands. Edwards.
He'll be a 4-year starter at Addicks. Will Desmond coming up in the fall.
Edmonds, I'm sorry. Julius Edmonds.
Edmonds got 7. And for this talented Indiana teams, want to see him kind of keep focus here in half number 2.
Right.
Kaler, the step back, no. And Briscoe, the nudge. Will be called for the foul, which will be his 3rd.
There's plenty. There we see Mike Broughton there. Indiana All-Star director makes the camera and the picture today.
And for Mike, this is a quasi-home game. You see the obvious foul against Briscoe.
Yeah.
Mike lives in Seymour these days. His final teaching post was at Jennings County. Of course, known for his days as the head coach at Jeffersonville, and obviously a member of our family on ISC. A little busy this week to be on the broadcast. He'll join us again in the fall. Briscoe the rebound and the missed effort by Xander Carter.
The outstanding Division I assistant coach at Nebraska. Was a head coach in Nebraska also. Was it Southwest Nazarene?
Sims, shot does not go. Missed 3. 1 field goal in the first, 2:45 for Indiana. Pull-up 3 does not go. Singleton has it knocked away.
If you missed the first half, the play in the first half was much better than the start of this 3rd quarter. I don't know if it's because of the spread of the game already, where Kentucky's just saying, I'm going to get mine, but it's almost like an open gym game right now, and hopefully Indiana's going to get untracked here because they've only scored 2 points here to start the second half.
Mullins.
Good cut by Dez. Drew the foul because he made the cut and he met the pass there. Did a good job following his cut.
I'd say Mullins from downtown. That may have been more from the suburbs that he shot that one. Braylon's made 2 of those so far. Kaler a bobble and lost the handle. They're going to get this underneath 20. Mullins commits the foul, and Eli Finley from Callaway County have a chance to shoot a couple of free throws at the line.
I kind of see, my feeling on this right now, Greg, is that they need Mark Zachary back on the floor to kind of be a floor general. And, he started, when he got going at Ben Davis, he wasn't the floor general. He was like the 2 guard. They had outstanding point guards. They had Sheridan Sharp at Ben Davis. And Mark Zachary has worked himself into being a very, very good point guard, obviously state runners-up last year for the Giants.
Of course, his teammate KJ Wyndham, we'll see him on Wednesday night. Indiana All-Star heading to play at Northwestern. Those two forever linked because it was Mark who took KJ's spot in the starting lineup on their unbeaten team the year before. Mullins in the lane and left that one short. Indiana not exactly in danger yet, but also not landing the knockout blow here early in the second half.
I gotta tell you, as a coach, even in an all-star game, you're not liking how your team's starting out here. We've only scored 2 points here in the first 3.5 minutes.
Singleton trying to find Briscoe. And Briscoe's got that jump shot in his arsenal, but an outstanding passer. Even though Mullins couldn't collect that one. Singleton going to work.
Good job by Kentucky. They're stopping the ball. They're not giving layups like they did early in the game.
The slip to Briscoe. And those guys can work that as AAU teammates. Briscoe now connects.
Yeah, that was good execution there on the pick and roll.
And Briscoe can make threes, but really where I think his most elite skills. Shot blocker, he averaged over 4 a game. Good mid-range touch as well. I think he's also a really good passer for a big man too.
He is. He's a willing passer, I like to say, yes.
He's going to try to prove me wrong on a 3-point shot.
He must have heard him.
Prove me right on that one. But again, there he is. Picks it back up. And Singleton will jam it home. Singleton now with 9. On the dish, Mabe scores it. Jordan Mabe gets the bucket. He's got 8. And this is kind of a casual 20-point lead for Indiana right now. Sims. Mabe gets in there. And gets the layup to go. He's got double figures. He becomes the third Kentucky player.
I thought Coach Luce was going to call a timeout. Just said, I know we're Coach Luce's team is playing a little loose tonight, right now, a little bit too loose. As you see the replay on the last basket. Been a while since the 2 minutes probably in the second half or first half that has been under 20 points. A spread now and is right at 20 now.
Today's game presented in part by Scott Nichols of State Farm Insurance in Indianapolis. Like a good neighbor, State Farm and Scott Nichols are there, and there is right next to Ben Davis High School on 10th Street, just east of Girls School Road. Contact Scott Needham at the number you see on your screen. And Scott wants to congratulate Mark Zachary on representing the West Side in this week's Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Series. Indiana with the sizable lead, and it was 69-45 at halftime. See new players on there for Indiana: Mark Zachary, Trent Sisley, John Anthony Hall, Julius Gizzi, Michael Cooper, the 5 on the floor.
A good job walling up by Justin Decker. He wasn't going to let Sisley get a step on him and did a nice job front of the post.
And then Hall gets it back and gets the finish.
But sometimes the athleticism plays something in the game also. What a great athlete, John Anthony Hall.
Wide receiver at Fishers, and he's getting Division I looks there. Clearly he's a Division I level basketball player. And wouldn't tip his hand this spring as to which sport he's kind of looking at. I think most think football is his route, but I'm not sure he's made that determination yet, Pete.
I talked to Coach Weininger, and I are very good friends as head high school coach, and he hasn't said that he's all basketball either, so I think you're right. He hasn't tipped his hand yet. I think if he really spent time being a track athlete, he could be a Division I track athlete. 23-1 yesterday in the state track and field finals.
Well, it's a bit of a Fosbury flop that time by Hall. Trying to take the charge. Zachary turns it over. And then Hall.
Track athlete.
Athlete, period. Gizzi. Tough shot. Julius with 13.
Julius should probably say, if we do get a chance to do some of their games, takes tough shots, makes tough shots. That's Julius Gizzi.
They're tough for others. They're not so tough for him. My goodness. It was a volleyball spike that time by Hall.
And you see the step back by Julius Gizzi. 6'3" rising senior. They're all rising seniors, obviously, in this game. Indiana back up to 22 now. Had been cut to 18 at that last timeout when Coach Luce called timeout.
Little push shot is good from Maddox Huff. 16. He leads the Kentucky attack today. Harlan County. Sisley. Not that time. Sisley just 2 field goals so far.
Hadn't shot it much.
A Mellow Boone out there for Kentucky and a 3. Huff now with 19. Slip to Hall. Reverse layup is good. Hall with 8. Hall will have 2 teammates playing in the Futures game tomorrow night. A pair of freshmen that were key pieces of the Fishers attack this year. And Zachary knowing where to find Trent Sisley.
And that's the strength right now of Trent Sisley. He gets above the rim and plays so often. Wow. That's a high archer.
Zachary will scoot past to Hall. Sisley got it eventually. And now a whistle is blown.
Yeah, I don't think Coach Sherrill was too happy with the transition defense that Kentucky plays. I know it's an all-star game, but they were not sprinting back. They gave them way too many easy shots there. Wants a timeout.
Folks, the Ed Martin Auto Group, great sponsor of ours in the ISC Sports Network. They want to congratulate John Anthony Hall for representing Fishers High School in today's Indiana-Kentucky Junior All-Star Game. When it comes to your next car, Ed Martin is the only name you need to know. Find out more at edmartin.com.
The gentleman taking the pictures, Greg, you know him as well as I do.
Pat McKee.
Yes. What a background.
Well, few are potential Hall of Fame level as a coach and a writer, and that is Pat. Pat worked for the Indianapolis Star for many years. He is part of the executive board of the Indiana Sportscasters and Sports Writers Association. He also is the former girls basketball coach at Columbus North High School. So few kind of live in both worlds like that the way Pat does.
Won a state championship, didn't he?
As Pat's retirement gig, there's a lot of stat work and PR work for the Indiana-Kentucky All-Stars to the IBCA.
Yeah, I met him when I was a young coach. He was a sports writer for the Star and coached a lot of AAU basketball, and then became a head varsity basketball coach in Indiana for girls.
Good job to save that ball by Kentucky. Shot blocked by Sisley, but the rebound there for Mello Boone. So Boone from
cool name.
Frederick Douglass High School. So Frederick Douglass had both a girl and a boy in this game out of Lexington, Kentucky. Zachary stops on a dime and he scores it. And it's tremendously balanced for Indiana. No player has more than 13 points, but every player has made at least 2 field goals. Elbow jump shot is good. That's Justice Decker, his first field goal. He's got 4 points. He made 2 free throws. Justice attends Manual High School in Louisville. 3 by Gizzy is good. I was going to tell you all about Manual High School, and Gizzy says, no, I'm going to make a 3-pointer first. He's got 16. Here's Decker. Shot does not go, but gets it back. Missed that one too. Eventually, it'll go down for Kentucky. Aaron Gutman got that to go. He's got 6. Going up top for Sisley. Sisley now with 11.
6 here in the third or the second half already.
And Indiana, I wouldn't say hasn't played all that well in the second half. And Pete, they've got 92 points with 11 minutes left to go. Gutman now in 9. Zachary will try his hand at a deep 3.
So that's usually not in his shot repertoire that deep. Gave it a shot though. That was a wide open shot, almost went in.
And the turnaround in the lane is good by Dillingham. We've not reached NBA All-Star game levels of defense, but it's close. Gizzy off the square. Gizzy with 18. What do you see as the right level for Gizzy after college, Pete?
You know, I want to see what he does his senior year before limiting his possibilities, because he's a very old school type player. He's got the step backs. Nice steal by Sisley there.
Speaking of a step back, there's a 3 for Sisley.
By golly, I stole it. I'm going to shoot it. But back to your question. You know, he's improved so much in just the 1 year. Athletically, he's good. Not great, he's good. His dad was a good athlete. His mom was a good athlete. Good plus good equals good, I guess you'd say. But the way he can create his own shot has become such a good player. I definitely think he can play Division I somewhere. Mid-major, high major, I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. And actually, his mom and I have talked about that.
I think he's a D1 level kid too.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Deep 3, my goodness. Tough. Leaving an impression here in Scottsburg. He's got 22.
He can score. Averaged 17 during the regular season, 17 and a half.
Horton had it knocked off his leg. Briscoe, Horton, Sims, Kaler amongst those on the floor. Xander Carter now will check in for Kentucky. Indiana has been more of a line change. Kentucky, it's been kind of 1 or 2 at a time they have rotated through. Singleton back on the floor as well.
And as we mentioned earlier, 6 of these guys will not play Wednesday night. Not part of the core per se.
Briscoe, the outlet taken away. That 3 left short. Briscoe will try this again. Off the leg of a Kentucky player. Kaler, not that time. Made 1 3, has Brady again. He's a very competent 3-point shooter at the high school level. Finley's shot does not go. Mullins Another errant outlet for Team Indiana. And the shot is good by Xander Carter. Carter with 13. And that's a foul. And then Horton will go to the line and shoot 2. Horton averaged 18 points a game for the Richmond Red Devils this past year in the newly refurbished Tiernan Center.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the mystique it used to have. It's a beautiful facility. Got to coach there many games, luckily. I think like 14 games I coached there. I counted one time because it was one of my favorite gyms. But with the redo, the downsizing of it a little bit, it's just not quite the same as it used to be, it seemed like. And Richmond basketball hasn't been the same for a long time. But as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Billy Wright's done a really good job of bringing back some excitement. And their numbers are good again now. And obviously, Horton's a great guy to build a team around for next year.
Baseline jump shot does not go. Singleton able to track it down. Next basket gets Indiana north of 100. Briscoe will try to make it a 3. Not that time. Finley able to wrestle it away for Kentucky.
Oh.
The midair find. Put back is good for Mellaboon.
Back cut, nice.
And
back
Kaler
cut.
with the slam to get it over triple digits.
Boy, great back cut. Just played off each other very well.
Wing 3 is good. Carter now with 16.
Being a part of these sometimes, Greg, you'd like to challenge your guys to not let them score 100. See if they can buckle down because we've already won the game. Maybe they could say that as Mullins scores, but it's an all-star game, and they don't quite see the game as we do sometimes. That was Mullins' first basket of the second half.
He's got 14. Scored 5 in the first 30 seconds. Reverse layup left short. Tip in does not go. Off of Briscoe. It'll stay to Kentucky.
I think it was off his hat. Oh, it's a hair. I'm sorry. Sometimes Dez has the afro pretty tight. This time he's got it full out. Probably measuring about 6'10" today. Kind of like Fletch.
I got the reference. I knew where you were going with that. Off one leg. No. And Briscoe eventually, maybe, didn't have it. Throw it up top. Nice. How about that for the reverse jam by Carter?
Nice timing there. That's down under 20 again. Up.
It was for a moment. Horton gets his 3 to go. Runner is good.
What's a tough shot because Kaler doesn't let very many shots get over his head.
Finley's got 8. Game's been hovering around 20 for most of the half. Singleton was trying to find Briscoe. It'll remain Indiana ball.
Ooh, thought that was off Briscoe. I'm not sure that Finley can jump that high to knock it out of bounds.
So a 19-point game.
Now, you mentioned Kaler early as he shoots the 3. You know, as a freshman, he's a pretty good player. Just was no playing time for him on a star-studded Cathedral team as Horton gets the putback there.
4th different player in double digits for Indiana. Finley doesn't get the roll. See if more substitutions are heading this way. We're showing you some of the aerial highlights for Indiana. Here's one for Kentucky as Carter throws it down. Be sure to join us tomorrow night at 6 o'clock from Hamilton Southeastern High School for the girls and boys futures games. Ooh. Logo, no. Singleton, no. And the rebound corralled by Vince Dawson. Dawson is yet to score. And we're trying to rectify that this time down.
I think he heard you. He had the green light on the whole time.
Briscoe fires and connects.
That's rare that he doesn't get at least 1 or 2 threes in a game that he plays in. He stretches the defense out. He does so much damage inside, but yet, ooh, there's a foul by Kaler.
They got Kaler in the air, so Finley will shoot 2.
I like Finley's game. Averaged almost 24 points a game for Callaway County last year. You can tell he's a shooter and scorer.
So 2 free throws coming up. The Indiana boys have equaled the girls' point total with 5:29 left to play. Briscoe will come out after the first free throw. Next line change coming for Indiana. How do you see the Indiana boys stacking up against their senior counterparts on Wednesday night?
I think they'll play with them very well. I do. I think it'll be a really, really good, fun game to watch. I think they could beat them. I think they're a very good junior team, as we mentioned in the opening. I think this is one of the best junior groups we've had in a long time. Now, the changes on that team: Chase Barnes of Fort Wayne will be playing. Damian King, a great scorer out of Anderson. Chase Knesny of South Bend St. Joseph, played in the state finals this year. Dominic Murphy of East Chicago Central. I got to tell you, I've not seen Dominic play. Kellen Pickett of Blackhawk Christian is an outstanding player, and an unbelievable shooter in Jack Smiley of Valpo. We did his game 2 years ago when Valpo came and played Carmel, and as a freshman, he could really light it up.
Sisley fires a 3. That does not go. Great crash by Hall. Hall turns, says, "I'm going to make a guard be fine. I'll put it up and in."
I'm able to score. I really don't care about scoring. I just want my team to win. But
he joins the hit parade in double digits. Mabe on the drive. Well, they will not be selling this game as an instructional DVD on defense.
No, but the girls' game. Our girls played great defense in the opening win against the Kentucky girls. They stopped driving lines. They did a really good job defense. They only gave up 70-some points that first game, 72 points. 111 to 72. What a game that was. 76. They ended up 76.
Zachary, Gizzy, Sisley, Hall, and Sims.
Nice curl.
And Sisley will punish the rim.
Yeah, nice curl. There's a double screen on the weak side for Trent to come around. And you had a shooter on the other wing that opened it up, so they couldn't help off of him.
Sisley was 16.
Eli Finley reminds me of the young man that played at Evansville Christian this year.
Josiah Dunham.
Yeah, that didn't make the All-Star team, but boy, he had to be really close. Shout out to him. I thought he was an outstanding player, and Finley kind of reminds me of him with his ball fakes and the way he plays.
2 free throws coming up. Aaron Gutman's got 9.
6'7". Averaged 21 a game as a junior.
From Fair Walton, Verona.
You know where that's at?
I know where our Fair Verona is, but Walton, Verona would be not far south of Cincinnati.
Yep, you're exactly right. Yep, I know where it's at, so that's why I was just asking.
My Indiana geography is about 1,000%. My Kentucky is 75 to 80. How about that?
Still pretty good.
Zachary's 3 does not go. Loose ball corralled by Gizzy, and Gizzy now has 20.
He hadn't missed very many shots either. Indiana shot 29 of 48 from the field in the first half, just a hair bit over 60%. Hadn't been. It's not probably as high as this half. We don't have live stats up, but they've shot the ball really, really well, and Julius has been one of them.
And hands by Sisley to knock that ball free. We'll see Trent on Wednesday night. He'll have the long drive from the Ohio River to get to Kokomo. Shot is good. That's Dawson. So Dawson now on the board. So now all, there being 10 Kentucky players in this game, all have scored. While I was telling you about that, Sisley adds another bucket. He's got what you could call a quiet 18 in tonight's game. That's not to knock his game. 3 in the corner. That's good by Chance Dillingham. St. X High School in Louisville.
You know, I think Dawson got here late. I really do, because we picked her several times, only 9 in the huddle, and I don't remember seeing Dawson. So he may have been not a late addition to the team, but I think he may have been coming from something this morning.
Gizzy finds a lane, and Gizzy's got 22. 69 in the first half for Indiana. Now 52 here in the second half. On the drive, shot missed, shot blocked, loose ball, Kentucky.
Both teams have played man-to-man the entire game.
Tonight's game presented in part by the Lee Company. The Lee Company wants to wish all of the Northwest Indiana representatives this week in the Indiana All-Star Series the best of luck. Lee Company is Indiana's largest school equipment supplier, from bleachers to lockers, chairs to cafe tables, basketball goals to wall pads. Lee Company is your source. Call Sean Doherty for all your school needs in Northwest Indiana at 765-586-9706.
As I mentioned, one of those Northwest Indiana players, Dominique Murphy, will join the team for the second game the juniors play.
Jack Smiling in that group as well.
Yep.
Turn around by Dawson, does not go. Sisley turns down the three. All deflected by Mello Boone. And tomorrow night it's the Futures game. It's the freshmen and sophomores. And on Wednesday night, Indiana juniors versus the Indiana seniors at Memorial Gymnasium in Kokomo. Sisley a miss. Indiana seniors report on Tuesday. On the drive, that does not go. Look ahead pass for Zachary. Finger roll. Double figures now with 10. 7 Indiana players in double digits. Sisley throws it up top. Gizzy.
He just got a great sense about himself. He knew he could catch it and make the drop step and probably would have the defensive player off guard, and he did there.
Back to a 28-point lead, make it 25. Dillingham now with 11. Kentucky at 100, but still trails by 25. Gizzy. And Gizzy's going to get to about his high school average in playing about half of this game. Julius now sitting on 27. Boom! Well, wasn't going to get dunked on, was Indiana there. Sisley, late whistle, but a foul. He got hit. Sisley got a couple of free throws. And our postgame show will not be long, since this one has long since been decided. Indiana girls won by 35. Boys really has not been closer than 18 or 19 the entire second half.
If you joined us early, Indiana jumped out to a 10-0 lead just out of the gate. Braylon Mullins was just outstanding to start the game. He's kind of just been rather quiet afterwards. Didn't really need to score a lot, but after a timeout, Kentucky got into it. It was like 10-9, 10-7, and then ever since then, Indiana's just kind of stretched it out, and kept it right here at this margin.
Boone lost the handle. Hall tried for the windmill.
Well, that would have been something. It's still amazing. I know I'm beating a dead horse, but he was at a track meet all day yesterday in the rain and then an inside facility. He spent the night probably in Bloomington, Indiana, and came here today to Scottsburg and still has pretty good hops.
One thing I will say is this, again, obviously it's been a lopsided day for Indiana. I don't think the senior all-star games will go like this. I think those will be a little more competitive. Boone. In the corner. Three is good. That's Vince Dawson getting his second bucket. Sims content to launch. And one more run up the floor. And let's see if Decker says, I think that's enough. Looks like he will. So you know what? I don't think there's, well, Dillingham might take the last basket. He will, and that's that.
Gonna shoot a buzzer beater.
So all Indiana today, the girls win 111-76. The boys win 130-103. We do have a piece of post-game hardware to hand out. It is the blue collar player of the game, presented by Boilermakers Local 374 and Julius Gizzi will be our choice from New Pal High School. He had a game-high 27, Pete.
Boy, and he showed how he can score in so many ways. From 3, pull up, a step back there. He can get in the lane and paint and create his own space there. You can see here, I called it. I remember the shot was coming. Good job, Sean. Good head fake and shoot the 3.
27 for Gizzi, 20 for Sisley.
For being the second smallest guy on the team. That's what I'm saying is he's just so creative as how this highlight package we can see just does it here.
11 for Desmond Briscoe, 11 for Cedric Hort, 10 each for Mark Zachary and John Anthony Hall. Every player had 5 points or more for Indiana. Pete, your final thoughts on this one?
It's going to be a great game Wednesday night, both girls and boys side of it. This is obviously one of the best junior all-star teams we saw. Obviously, you don't like to give up 103 in a game, but they scored 130 and they won by 27.
Let's thank the following sponsors that made today's broadcast possible. The Ed Martin Automotive Group, the only name you need to know. Thanks to our friends at Forum Credit Union, helping people live their financial dreams for over 80 years with innovative practice services. Visit them online, forumcu.com. By the Indy 11, World's Game, Indiana's team. Get your tickets today at indy11.com/tickets. By Lee Company, Indiana's largest school equipment supplier. And by Scott Nichols of State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm and Scott Nichols are there. We'll do this again about 24 hours from now at Hamilton Southeastern High School. It'll be the Indiana Futures game, both boys and girls, for freshmen and sophomores. Be sure to join us there. This was a sign of things to come. A slam off the opening tip, a 3 to follow by Braylon Mullins, and it was all smooth sailing by Indiana after that point. They win by 27. Thanks for joining us all day long from Scottsburg. You've been watching the Indiana-Kentucky Junior All-Star Game on ISC.
It's Dino Night with Indy 11.
Don't miss any of the action. Support the boys in blue. There's fun for groups or the whole family. Tickets available at indy11.com. Indy 11, World's Game, Indiana's team.